He slept beside his ship and woke to dozens of alien huntresses fighting over him. Beginning. The desert of Threx, 9 was silent under its twin moons, broken only by the occasional whisper of dust spirals dancing across its endless flats. Captain Elias Vey sat beside the broken hull of his small courier ship, the Wayfarer, watching the moons glimmer against the cracked metal panels. The ship's engines were ruined. Sabotage, he suspected, by the pirate vessel that had chased him into the planet's atmosphere before disappearing. Now he was stranded, his distress beacon weak, and unlikely to carry past the planet's thick ionosphere. His only company was the dull hum of the ship's emergency lights, and the faint chill rising from the desert ground as night deepened. Exhaustion gnawed at him, and despite his training, despite the survival instincts that warned him to keep watch, Elias finally leaned back against the warm plating of his ship and allowed sleep to take him. When he dreamed of laughter, echoing, melodic, sharp like flutes but carrying undertones of growls. He dreamed of footsteps, dozens of them, circling. And when he awoke, it wasn't a dream. Around him, in the faint dawn light, stood not one, not two, but dozens of towering figures, alien women clad in armor made of bone and shimmering metal, each bearing weapons carved with runes that glowed faintly in the morning haze. Their eyes glowed amber, silver, or crimson, depending on the clan they hail from, and their hair, braided, spiked, or adorned with feathers, blew like banners in the desert wind. They were huntresses, and they were all staring at him. Before Elias could even rise, one of them, tall and muscular with her jagged scars across her cheek, pointed her spear at him. "He is mine. I found him first," she declared, her voice like grinding stone. "No!" Another snarled, stepping forward, her eyes burning violet. "By the rights of the moon hunt, he belongs to me. His arrival is the omen we were promised." The desert air grew tense, and then suddenly, the clash of steel rang out. The huntresses turned on one another, blades and spears flashing, sand spraying as they fought viciously in a swirling melee. All the while, Elias sat frozen, his mind racing. What in the void is going on? Middle. The battle raged around him as though he were the trophy in some ancient competition. Elias ducked when a spear clanged off his ship's hull inches from his head. He scrambled to his feet, trying to shout over the chaos. "Stop. I don't know what you want, but I'm not." But his words were swallowed by the roar of combat. Finally, a sharp whistle cut the air. The huntresses froze mid-swing. A new figure entered the circle, a woman taller than any of them, clad in obsidian armor traced with molten lines of gold. Her horns curved backward elegantly, and her gaze was like fire itself. "Enough," she commanded. Her voice was soft, but it carried more weight than a shout. The huntresses immediately lowered their weapons, though their eyes still burned with rivalry. The horned woman looked at Elias. "You are the one spoken of in the prophecy of the falling star." Elias blinked. "I'm what?" They explained, or rather, the horned leader explained while the others glowered at one another, that for generations, the tribes of the Huntresses of Threx, 9 had awaited the falling star, a sign that a warrior made of great destiny would descend from the sky. His arrival, marked by fire streaking the heavens, would determine the balance between their clans. Apparently, Elias' crash landing had matched the description perfectly. Each clan believed they had the right to claim him, whether as a husband, a champion, or even a sacrifice. Elias stared at them, his mouth dry. "I think there's been a mistake. I'm not a warrior, mate. I'm a pilot, a courier. I transport packages, not lead armies." The huntresses stared back with something between amusement and pity. "You stand alive in the center of our circle after we fought around you," the scarred one growled. "That makes you more warrior than half the men of the outer moons." "I was sitting down," Elias muttered, but his protest didn't matter. The huntresses were already discussing terms. Each clan wanted him, and each had its own idea of what should be done with him. The scarred one's clan, the Kareth, demanded marriage rights. The violet-eyed woman's clan, the Allra, claimed he was destined to father heirs. Another clan, fierce and tattooed, wanted him to lead their hunting parties into the deadly jungles of Threx 9. It might have been flattering, if it weren't terrifying. Elias knew he couldn't fight them all, nor could he flee. The desert stretched endlessly in every direction, and without his ship's functioning engines, he was trapped. His only chance was to buy time. So, with a calmness he didn't quite feel, he raised his hands. "All right, If this prophecy is real, then there should be a test, right? A way to decide who's telling the truth. I'll participate in the trial, but no more fighting, at least not around me. The Huntresses exchanged glances. Then, slowly, the Horned Leader nodded. There's wisdom in his words. The trials of the hunt will decide which clan may claim him. The next days were a blur of impossible tests. Elias was dragged into the rituals of the Huntresses, thrown into arenas where he had to outwit predator beasts with teeth longer than his arm, forced to climb sheer cliffs under the blazing suns, and even tested in contests of strategy where entire hunting packs moved across carved stone boards like living pieces. He survived not through strength, but through cunning. He couldn't wield their massive weapons with skill, but he could set traps, use terrain, and think in ways the Huntresses didn't expect. Much to his surprise, his quick thinking impressed them. The Kareth admired his stubborn endurance. The Allura marveled at his wit. The tattooed clan whispered that he was touched by the spirits of prey animals, able to slip free of danger in ways no warrior should. But the more he succeeded, the worse the rivalries grew. Huntresses who once would have slain each other outright now followed him like hawks, circling prey, vying for his attention, his favor, his words. At night, when he tried to sleep beside his ship, he would awaken to 2 or 3 arguing outside his tent about which one of them he had looked at longer. By the 5th night, Elias was ready to tear his hair out. This is insane, he muttered. I didn't ask for any of this. I just want to fix my ship and leave. But the Horned Leader, who had remained oddly calm through it all, appeared beside him. You cannot leave, Falling Star, she said softly. Not until the trial is complete. And you, whether you admit it or not, have begun to change us. Look. Elias looked. For the first time in living memory, the rival clans were not at one another's throats. They argued, they fought, but they fought under rules, not slaughter. His presence had forced them to cooperate, however reluctantly, and that fragile peace was holding. It struck him that maybe the prophecy wasn't about him becoming someone's mate or prize. Maybe it was about him being a catalyst, something to unite them. The realization both terrified and humbled him. Ending. The final trial came on the 7th day. The clans gathered in the desert valley, weapons gleaming, banners raised high. The challenge was not against beasts or the elements this time. It was against one another. Each clan would present its champion, and Elias would choose which one to fight beside. The implication was clear. Whichever clan he chose, he would bind himself to. The Huntresses lined up before him. Scarred Kareth, violet-eyed Allura, tattooed hunters, and more, each watching him with an intensity that made his heart race. Elias stood silent for a long moment. Then he shook his head. No, I won't choose one. I'll fight beside all of you. The crowd gasped. The Huntresses muttered angrily, but the Horned Leader raised her hand for silence. And so it was decided. Elias would face the trial not as the champion of one clan, but as the chosen of all. The trial was brutal. Together, Elias and the Huntresses fought a monstrous sand beast that rose from beneath the desert, its armored hide impervious to ordinary blades. The clans were forced to work together. Kareth's strength, Allura precision, tattooed hunters' traps, and Elias' quick thinking, which turned the beast's own weight against it by luring it into a canyon, where its massive body collapsed the rock walls onto itself. When the dust settled, the clan stood united for the first time in centuries. Elias, exhausted and bloodied, stood in the center, and the Huntresses raised their weapons in salute. Not as rivals, but as allies. The Horned Leader approached him. You have fulfilled the prophecy, not by belonging to one of us, but by giving all of us a reason to stand together. You are the Falling Star. Elias managed a tired smile. Does this mean I can finally fix my ship? She laughed, a deep, warm laugh that rippled through the crowd. Yes, but know this. You will never be forgotten here. You are Threx, 9 now whether you stay or go. Elias spent the next weeks repairing his ship with the Huntresses' help. When the engines roared to life again, the clans gathered to see him off. Some looked at him with longing, some with respect, some with a hint of sorrow. As he lifted off, watching the desert fall away beneath him, Elias couldn't help but laugh softly to himself. He had come here a stranded courier. He left as a legend. And somewhere deep inside, he wondered if one day he might return